Welcome to the Redefined Podcast. All right, happy podcast, a Thursday edition. Happy Thursday. Today we're finally going to answer the question, why am I still posting on YouTube? Given my abysmal results here on this channel, on this particular channel. Now, I've had this channel and I've been posting to this channel, I think since as far back as 07, maybe even 06. And to this day, I still am not getting a lot of traction on this channel. There's only about 350, 360 subscribers, even though I have like over 500 videos, and I'm still barely scratching like 20 to 25 views per video. So, you know, it really begs the question, why I keep doing it if I'm getting such crap results. I got a shout out first. This question always comes up, or regularly comes up, because it baffles one particular subscriber that I have on YouTube with the handle at Capulono. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Capulono, this episode is for you. Why is my YouTube channel not gaining a lot of traction? Well, the first thing is it's not my primary platform, right? I'm really focused on short form platforms, and now I'm refocusing back on Facebook. So YouTube is just kind of on the periphery. I do YouTube because I'm making videos anyway for the podcast, so I thought might as well upload it, right? It's an easy addition to the podcast because I can just use the video, rip the audio from the video to use as the podcast version. So it's just a periphery thing, and as a result of it not being my primary platform, then I'm not really putting as much effort into learning and researching and studying this particular platform so that I can do better. Yes, I have made incremental results over the years. I mean, I certainly hope I would, given that this channel is as old as it is. So, you know, I make tweaks every now and then, which, you know, I because of making those periodical tweaks, I do see a slight increase and slight improvement in the performance. However, it's so far and few between that it doesn't make a huge kind of hockey stick growth. So again, because it's not my primary platform, I'm not studying it, and I'm not making continual edits and continual improvements to the process as a whole with the content that I'm publishing on my YouTube channel. Now, you know, there are things I could do. Obviously, I talked about this in the last episode. SEO is one of those things that I could really honestly pay better attention to, but I don't want to, right? Like, it's just, my brain is occupied in other spaces that pay, you know, adding another platform to study and to dissect and to just continually work on. My bandwidth is maxed out at this point. Yeah, not a big deal, and that's why for me it's just added benefit. It's icing on the cake. If I have extra subscribers, or you know, if my content reaches a few handful of extra people every week, then, you know, it serves its purpose for now. It serves its purpose. For a lot of people, that may not be enough. Of course, just watching the YouTube, you don't see all the other stuff that I do in the background off of YouTube. But there is also the question then, well, you know, we do things, and this is kind of the bigger picture question. Why do something if it's not bringing you the results that you want? It really kind of reminds me of an episode of Lewis I forgot his name. I think it's Lewis House. Brain fart there. It was an episode of Lewis House's show where he was interviewing Alex Hormozi. So it's two kind of high level individuals and very well known individuals. They in the interview, and I'll link the episode in the show notes of this podcast, and I'll put the video in the description of the YouTube. But part of the interview, they started talking about, well, what if you don't get the outcome? Because Lewis Lewis House, it comes from an athletic background. Like he played sports, he played football, and so it's like, well, there's only a certain amount of effort that you can that you can put in and still not get results before you should just probably toss in the towel and give up. Otherwise, what's the point? Right? If you're not, if you don't get the win, I think I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, if you don't get the win, then why keep practicing? Why keep going? And Alex's perspective was like, the win isn't necessarily the point, right? The win is great. But it's a result only of continuing to show up, continuing to improve, continuing to get better, and continuing to practice. And I'm very much of that same philosophy, right? Like it's all about showing up. I think people give up way too soon because they don't see the result. Now, again, with this YouTube situation on my channel, obviously I'm purposefully, I'm intentionally not giving it attention and the time that it needs in order to make improvements and in order to increase the performance. But generally speaking, I love doing things beyond the results that I think, and the results and the outcomes that I think it'll get me, because in the doing, in the showing up every day, in the posting videos regularly, despite the outcome, I'm getting better. So here's what I get. Here's what I get out of posting posting videos and content on YouTube on a regular basis. Number one, it allows me to process my thoughts better, right? The things that I'm thinking about, the things that I share with you guys here on the show, sharing them with you in these videos and in these episodes actually allows me to wrap my brain around it better, right? Because if I can communicate it to you guys, then it means that I have enough understanding of it to communicate it to you guys, right? So the principles and the ideas that I share here on the show, I actually get a deeper understanding of it by sharing it with you here on YouTube and on the podcast. So that's the first thing. Number two is that it gives me more content, right? Again, there's content out there. I'm putting videos anyways. It's not that much more of an extra step to do a video for this podcast. So, why not? Why not? It's more content for me out there. It gets in front of a handful more people every week. And also it's content that I can chop up and turn into shorter versions and clips for my short form platform. So it just gives me more content. And it puts me out there on another platform. Number three, and the final one, I think is the most important one, is exactly what I was talking about earlier. It makes me better, right? Showing up every day, regardless of the results, regardless of the outcomes, makes me better, right? I can pop off an episode, or I can pop off an idea, whether it's for content or sitting in front of a live audience or in a small group or talking one-on-one. It allows me to kind of hone my skill of whatever it is I'm talking about, number one, and also it allows me to hone my ability to communicate, number two. As a public speaker, I've spoken in front of audiences of in the thousands in the past. I've spoken in front of audiences in the tens. Both are equally as important. But if I don't continue to practice, then I won't have the ability to just sit and maybe even just answer questions or do a Q&A, right? When you see a lot of these top gurus or these very well-known speakers and things like that, it's because they're continually practicing. And for me, doing these episodes, doing these videos is one way for me to keep to keep practicing and to keep that level of ability up. Otherwise, if I'm just waiting from speaking gig to speaking gig, or coaching gig to coaching gig, it's so far in between that I feel like I would lose. I would just lose practice. I'd be out of shape, basically. Michael Jordan was always showing up every day, practice. He practiced more than anybody else at that time, and that's why the games were no big deal. It was the practices that really made him who he is. It wasn't the winning shot that made him who he is. And it's the same principle, right? I continue to show up and do these things because it makes me better at so many things. And in fact, like people get so I have friends and colleagues that just are baffled at the fact that I can spout off an entire episode of content without having it pre-planned, maybe an outline like I'm looking here on my desk, but beyond that, it's just most of it is just off the top of my head. Well, it's because I do it regularly and I've been doing it for so long. If you look back on, the very first handful of videos that I did for this particular channel on YouTube. And for those of you who are listening to the podcast version of this, I'll link the YouTube channel in the show notes of this episode. But look back to the very first one. It was so laborious. I did so many takes. It was written out. I had to rehearse it, every video after that, you can tell the process. And over the years, it's gotten better and better to the point where, again, I can think of a topic for the next episode and just knock it out like that with very few to maybe even no notes at all. Right. So doing this makes me better. Yes, it doesn't give me the outcomes on this particular channel on YouTube that most people would want or expect. But again, there's so many more benefits to showing up consistently and regularly than, a million views on a particular video. Yeah. Eventually, once I have my other platforms working and humming and buzzing, to the degree that I want it, then maybe I'll put more effort into improving my YouTube presence. But for now, it's just what it's gonna be, right? It is what it's gonna be. I don't know if that's even a saying, but I think you guys understand what I'm trying to communicate. There it goes. I do flub every now and then, and I lose track of thought, but that's just because this is so conversational. Very, very informal, so conversational, and I'm at ease at that because I've done it for so long, right? Anyways, hopefully that answers your question, Capulono. And for those of you who are maybe frustrated that you're not getting the results that you want in a particular thing or at a particular goal that you're trying to achieve, I encourage you to keep going because, number one, keep going, keep showing up, and really just continue to kind of examine and study the entire process so that you can improve yourself every time you show up so that it gives you a better result and ultimately achieving that end goal. That's the process. It's as simple as that. I've talked about that, I think, plenty of times on the show, and I'm happy to talk about it more in the future. So we'll save it for another episode. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week on Tuesday with a fresh new one. So until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.